right, welcome back everybody, and welcome to March. So here it is, Saturday, March 1st, right at 11 o'clock. Temperature is 70 degrees, humidity is 38%, and the high is this afternoon around 2 or 3 o'clock at 73. Bit of a rollover from the end of February's video, but I've had these 4 deeps with 10 frames of drawn combs sitting out for a few days now, just to air out from storing them over the winter with paramoth. And after thinking about it just a little more, I'm gonna pull another deep out, and well, so I can add 5 deeps to the strongest 5 hives for honey supering. And I'm gonna run them as 9 frames. So for those 4, I'll pull a frame out, get them into that 5th box, and then probably pull a few new frames to fill the void where need be, but not before waxing those frames very, very heavy so the bees can draw them out, especially once the nectar flow really kicks in. All right, let's take a quick look at the yard. Considering the time and the temp, I imagine the bees are flying quite nicely, and yeah, sure enough, they are. Walk around to the front here in a second, explain a few plans for the month, and that'll be it. All right, so my plans as of now are to get into the hives this afternoon, mainly because it's been a while, it's been a week or two, and with the temperatures, right, being in the low 70s, because looking at the accurate 10-day or at least week forecast, so tomorrow's high is going to be 50 with a low of 31, probably at daybreak. And then throughout the week, we're about 19 or 20 days away from spring. And we still have some cold temps, like Monday's low is 28 with a high of 53. Tuesday, Wednesday, warm in the low to high 60s, and then high 50s and high low 40s for Thursday and Friday. So point being, we're not out of winter yet, technically, right? Because again, spring's in 19 days. And the weather kind of aligns with that. So today's plan, really get into the top boxes, just like about, I think I did that really about mid-February. Get into the top boxes, see how the brood's looking, reverse them if need be, and that's probably it. So I'm really trying not to disturb the colonies right now. They are, enjoying the warm weather. They're doing their thing. The maple, because of that frost we had about the 2nd or 3rd week of February, I'm trying to find a tree where I can actually see some blooms. There's one over there, but it's kind of too far to really see right now. I've been watching some of the maples, the ones where you can see that have already budded up, and it's hard to tell if there's any bees on them really. So I saw somebody else post something on one of the several North Carolina beekeeping groups, and it said that they said that frost really kind of ended the maple pollen production, which obviously stinks, because before that, those warm days in early February or so, I mean, they were bringing it in big time. So I'm sure they used what they could, or they got what they could, but it would have been nice to have another few weeks of that pollen come in. All right, that's it for me. So again, it's about 11 o'clock. I'm gonna get into the hives maybe around 12:30, 1 o'clock or so. I'm just gonna play that by ear. It's supposed to be windy at the warmest part of the day as well, but as you can tell if you're new to the channel, we have a pretty nice windbreak back here. It's good enough for hurricanes, so I'm sure it's good enough for a breezy afternoon. But yeah, I'm gonna get into the hives this afternoon, really just look at the top box, see if they're packed out with brood or if they still have adequate space, and then try to determine the 5 strongest hives to add those deeps to. And then in the meantime, I'll wax a few frames, get that 5th deep box set up, and then just kind of make a decision from there. So stay tuned, and we'll see how the month of March goes. All right, here we go. It's 2:15, 77 degrees, 28% humidity. It feels absolutely fantastic. I'm about to get into the hives, like I said earlier, just do a quick assessment of the top box. If the top box is just completely slammed with brood and the bottom box is looking pretty thin, I will, or empty, not thin, I'll reverse them for probably the month of March. But as I get into the hives throughout the month, I'll just continuously assess. But yeah, so that's the thoughts. And if the top box is not packed out with brood and they're looking okay, I'm just gonna leave them as is, because I really don't want to jinx myself. But if they've made it this far, April is around the corner, so we don't have long to go. We're in the home stretch for spring, the nectar flow, and all the good things most people have probably been looking forward to if you've successfully overwintered your bees. All right, enough me yapping. I'm gonna get the smoker lit and then we'll get to it. All right, try to do a little bit of a first look with you, with at least hive number 1 before the day gets busy. All right, let's get into them, see what they're doing up in the top box. All right, surprisingly, not a lot going on in that top box. Here's a quick first look at the bottom box. Also a surprise to see as much water as they have left. I'm gonna pick this up, dump it out, get some of these cappings off of it, but they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 frames of bees. About to go through them and see what the brood looks like. I'll try to show you all this. So I'm on frame number 3. The first few frames, the first 2, very calm, and that's still the case here. I actually have a decent amount of bees in this box, despite not using the sugar water for some reason. Picked up a new flashlight. I think I spent like maybe $7 on this thing on Amazon. But yeah, no kidding. Every cell that you see right there has eggs. So let's move some of them out of the way. See what this side looks like. Oh yeah, she's doing her thing. Mature larva, probably a few days old. Just hasn't been capped yet on day 9. So yeah, they're doing okay. I'm just gonna dump some of that sugar water out to get the cappings off the top, give it back to them, and see if they use it over the next week. Let's pull one more frame for y'all since I'm here. Check that out. Yeah, she's been busy and the bees have been busy. It's a lot of capped brood on that side, and yeah, same on this side. So all right, yeah, they're doing pretty good. Try to give you all a quick first look at each hive. Try not to make this video as long as February's video, which, well, it got pretty long. So yeah, quick first look. This looks like a strong colony. Ton of bees up in the top box. I'm about to go through it. I'll show y'all anything interesting. Hopefully I find a bunch of brood up here, and maybe no need to get into the bottom box. Very center frame, whether you can tell or not. This side packed full of some sort of nectar or sugar water. And check out this, hopefully it comes up on camera. This entire frame, I mean most of it, right? Nothing but pollen. Very center frame. So they're bringing it in. Hopefully that's all to be used to rear brood or in preparation of. Oh, check that out. No doubt they were queen right. Some nice brood on this frame. And yeah, she's been busy. There's a lot of eggs on all these open cells. All right, I'm gonna try and find her just to make sure she's in a safe place for when I put this frame back in. One last quick look, and that's it for this one. Since I get a little bit of a sneak peek when popping the lid and smoking them. This is the hive in the 3rd position, number 19. This is what I wanted to show you. This was the something interesting part. So let me get into them, and hopefully that turns into a little more interesting thing. All right, so this is the first hive so far that has consumed the entire 2-gallon feeder. This frame is the second one, so almost right above it. We have some drones, at least the one. Point being, I wonder why, and then this frame, this side of the frame's pretty wet too. I wonder why the first 2 colonies aren't using the feed at all. And if that's the case, when I'm finishing up, yeah, look at that. I'm assuming that's sugar water of some sort. But if that's the case, I'll just go back into those 2 as I'm wrapping up for the day and move those feeders, at least one of them into this one and one of them maybe into another. I don't want it to go bad, and sugar water really only lasts so long before it becomes rancid. I don't add anything to it like vinegar or bleach, but just trying to keep them alive so they can get to spring and the nectar flow here in about a month. Okay, just real quick, interestingly enough, this is the center frame. Sure, they got some brood or some food, but yeah, right here they're starting to clean out cells and starting to rear brood. And yeah, no kidding, look at that side. Whole lot more drones. Starting to see a whole lot more, which is a good thing. So let's take a look at this next frame real quick, because it almost looks like it's packed with capped brood. Oh yeah, that is exactly what I want to see. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I'm just finishing up going through the bottom box, and most frames look like this if that comes up. No brood, just some food and everything. So considering they have the amount of brood and food in the top box, more so the brood than anything, I'm actually going to reverse them. So as that brood hatches out, they can start moving up into the top box, and hopefully that also prompts the queen to start laying more eggs in the deep, which will be the top box here in a second. All right, down here in the only nuke, number 11, and around mid-February when I got into all the hives and did some equalizing, I remember I moved quite a few shallow frames down to this colony, since the 5-frame nukes, geez, the top boxes are mediums, and that's pretty cool to see. So she's yeah, so far, actually she's right there. So far they have successfully overwintered as a 3-frame nuke with a little help and a little TLC. So I'm actually gonna refresh her green dot. Hopefully that goes okay. But yeah, they're looking pretty good. As the expression goes, a little goes a long way. So this hive is like really limping along. I mean, a decent amount of bees right now, and I'm sure there's a foraging force out there. Small patch of brood, bottom box with the 3 frames, absolutely nothing going on. In fact, they had a small patch. It looks like it froze with some of the recent temperatures. So something I was thinking about doing, I'm going to move locations. I'm going to slide this hive into this hive's position, since this hive seems pretty strong, and I imagine they have a really big foraging force out right now. And the idea is, as those field bees come back, they'll help really repopulate this hive's population, right? So that's what I'm about to do. As the dot dries, I'll show you that probably towards the end of the day as I'm wrapping things up, but can't hurt to try, right? Let's get her released. Yeah, I always like to, there she is. Alrighty. see how that works out in the next week or so. All right, quick first look at 14. They have a decent amount of bees in the top box as well, so hopefully it's like the last one and start pulling a few nice packed out frames of brood in the middle so I can reverse them. This is frame number 4. So obviously we got brood. Let's see if we have some eggs. Yeah, sure enough right there, some drone brood. In fact, saw a ton of drones on the previous frame to include this one as well. Nice brood on this side too. So if half the box is brooded out like that, and once I get into the deep and that's pretty empty, oh yeah, that's a pretty good reason to reverse them. So I will show you what I find here in the next few minutes. Even though I found eggs, it's always nice when you find the queen. Let's see if she's about to, looks like she might just be laying an egg right there. Okay. Her mark's not terrible. It'll last a few more weeks, so I'm not going to mess with that, but I am going to finish up and reverse them if I need to. But so far I think I counted maybe 4 or 5 frames, so about half of the top box full. Quick first look at the bottom box, and because I have a shallow frame, they built some comb and some brood in between, which is completely normal. And the thing I want to show you is I don't see any varroa. I mean, that's a small snapshot of the entire colony, but it's not a bad way to tell. So that's good to see. There will always be a curveball. So this is frame number 3, and no kidding, I was not expecting to find brood down here. So not just brood, but all these open cells. She's already gone through and backfilled them. Same thing on this side, and I'm willing to bet, just looking ahead at the next frame, I think it's about the same. Yeah, yeah, I mean, not the best frame, but yeah, no kidding, even eggs over here. Man, that is awesome. Same thing here, probably the same thing on the next frame. So I might actually not reverse them. I decided to grab hive number 1's feeder and provide to this one, which again is number 14, since it doesn't look like they are over storing it as food, and it looks like they're using it to raise brood, which is exactly what I want them to do. So I'll have to figure out at some point why the first 2 colonies aren't using the provided feed. There's got to be something going on, but for now I'm just going to put this empty one back into number 1 and then keep an eye on this one over the next week or 2. All right, let's get 14's queen released, which should be pretty easy from the cage. All right, down here at 12, that is it's the last thing I thought I would encounter. Hives with sugar. Doesn't look like they have a whole lot going on in the top box. And in fact, I think I commented on this the other day. I think I made a comment. It looked like they were getting robbed out. And the reason I say that, sure enough, damn. Small cluster. They died at some point. Well, that's very, very unfortunate. No kidding. Now I wonder if let me get my thoughts together. No shit, look at that. I wonder if they were a single deep and I added that box a little too early. It was just too much space. That is very unfortunate. This is what's really disappointing, is she was laying I wonder if it was that freeze. Man, I don't remember when that was. That freeze we had where it was just nothing but sleet. But no kidding. I mean, there's eggs. There's, I don't know, maybe 4 to 8-year-old or 8-day-old larva. Man, that is super disappointing. Ah, that just stings. Hopefully there's no surprises with 17, and I would imagine there wouldn't be, seeing what I see. Man, that I don't know, that just kind of caught me off guard. I was not expecting to see that, but I do recall sometime during the week just having the thought of, I wonder if they're getting robbed out. And I guess I have my answer now. Anyway, moving on. My plan is the 8 frames, the 8 deep frames that I think most of them have drawn, very nice drawn comb. I'm gonna use those to basically fill in any spots on the remaining hives that may have a new deep frame. So instead of those colonies wasting their time and energy really trying to draw out a new frame, I'm just going to add those frames since they're completely drawn out and usable as soon as I discover a colony that needs them. Alright, well, they're doing a pretty nice job with the food. Let's start to see some brood. Oh, that's interesting. Already starting to create a queen cup. Moving down into the bottom box. No brood in the top box, and they used all their food, so that's kind of nice to see. It looks like the cluster is concentrated on this side, so let's see if we can find some brood. Hopefully I can track her down for you. She was moving pretty fast, but it actually looked like a virgin queen. She might be on this side. Small. It doesn't look like she's made it. But no kidding. I don't see any eggs yet. But as I was looking on the other side of this frame, man, that is something else. Hopefully I can find her. She's moving pretty fast. She's pretty dark too. Man, that's wild. If they swarmed already, there's no way. Okay, well, y'all probably think I'm crazy. We're just making stuff up, but yeah, sure enough. You know what I saw? Well, that's something to keep my eyes on. Let's see if they have no brood, and I haven't seen any eggs, no larvae, nothing. So yeah, that is something else. All right. Well, let's see what happens with this hive over the next few weeks. All right, first look at 13. It's kind of strange they still have sugar, but we'll see. Doesn't look like they have much going on in their top box either. So might just jump straight down into the bottom box. They had a brick on top. Actually, I'm gonna go through them. They had a brick on top, and I do remember maybe mid-February or so when I was in the hives, I found an unmarked queen, so I plan on well, trying to find her this time and marking her. All right, I may have put a brick on the wrong colony, so she's doing just fine. Just gonna put them back together. No need to really interfere. All right, down here at number 5. They were a very strong colony last year. and slightly aggressive, but I also remember them producing a nice amount of honey. So it's just one of those things you got to decide to deal with. All right, same thing, not to bore y'all. Just gonna go through each box and assess the brood situation and make a decision to reverse the boxes if they have a lot of brood up top. Well, that didn't take long to find something to share. Not only, let me back up, so this is exactly how the frame's orientated. Not only does it look like they have some really nice wax, new wax, but she's getting busy. Hopefully it comes up on camera. I always forget what angle works the best, but hopefully you can see that, all those little specks in the cells. So this hive should blow up real soon. All right, we got some nice brood in the center frames. On this one, what is this, frame number 5 right in the middle? Pretty nice patches of drone brood, which could be semi-concerning, but meaning you have a laying worker, but that's not the case because we found enough eggs. And look at that, that is nice. Textbook frame. Same on this side, and same on the next one, really. So number 5, they continue, yeah, they continue to be a performer. It's awesome. All right, so due to the brood in the top box, I just need to take a quick look at the bottom box and see what their brood situation looks like. You also want to keep in mind you don't want to break the brood. So if the bottom box has brood at the top of the frames and you reverse the boxes, essentially you'll place the deep box on the top, all the brood will be up top, and all this brood will be on the bottom of the deep frames, if that makes sense. So instead of keeping a sphere in the middle, you'll actually break up the brood, the cluster, and that could lead to, you know, things you don't want to experience, right? So before I do anything, I just need to get into the bottom box and see what their brood situation is. Of course, a quick first look, and yeah, if you think this colony is not strong, you're silly. All right, quick look at 15's top box. I either gave them a lot of food or they used that sugar water to make a lot of food. We'll find out here in a second. All right, they've done a nice job on the food stores, and this is frame number 6. First signs of brood in the top box. So between this one, this one here, and the next one, so they're doing a pretty nice job. I'll get into the bottom box just like the rest, just to look around, and maybe I'll be surprised, just like whatever hive that was that had a ton of brood in the bottom box. So this one's not hurting on food stores at all, and has a decent amount of brood from 6, 7, 8, maybe frame number 9. But yeah, let's see what's going on below. Try to remember to give you a quick first look. There's some shallow frames up top, so just like one of the other hives, they draw out wax foundation and the queen starts laying some mainly drone brood in between, but it's a very, very small patch. Didn't see any varroa mites, so it's a good thing. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave them alone. Actually, I haven't even looked on this side to see if I can find her, if she's marked. But yeah, I'm gonna leave them alone. So if you can see that, the ring of capped brood, check this out. If I can get the light to hit it just right, hopefully y'all can see that. Some nice larvae. So she's been up here, or actually down here, for a good bit. She's making her rounds between boxes, and I don't want to cause any problems, so I'm just going to leave them as is. I'll pull a few more frames just to take a look, but so far so good. and I don't see that changing really. Yeah, she's doing just fine. All right, get the camera rolling as we get into number 3. Still surprises me, some of the colonies that have sugar, and in fact, because it's such little. It's just time to get rid of it. Actually, I have a decent amount of bees in the top box, so same thing as the rest of the colonies. Just a quick first look, but pull some frames and see if they have some brood. All the way on frame number 8. First sign of some brood. And I'm checking the surrounding cells. It's just hard to see. Yeah, there's eggs. Eggs and small larvae throughout, so she is doing just fine. And that is a ton of pollen and some brood on the bottom, which isn't really uncommon because this is a shallow frame. That is on my things to fix this year. Get all the shallow frames out of the colonies. All right, let me grab a frame from that Deadout, since I want to replace this one. This side's nice, but obviously this side has nothing, so if I can get a frame that's drawn out on both sides, it'll just save them that much work. Quick look at the bottom box. Smoke the bees off of that just to take a quicker or a closer look. It's a bit of a mess, but I don't see any varroa mites, so not the most accurate way to check for mites, just a simple way, since the bees draw some comb and rear brood in between the boxes this time of year. All right, frame number 7. First real signs of brood in the bottom box. This side kind of spotty, but let's see. Yeah, maybe it's just spotty because that's how it hatched out. The cells that are open and haven't been capped have eggs or small larvae in them. So again, frame 7. Let's look at 8. Yeah, she's doing okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with them. I'm just gonna leave them alone and just let them do their thing. All right, number 7 in the second to last position, and their cover successfully propalized together. Yeah, they look pretty darn nice too. I'll show you what I mean. Probably replace a few of those, but this side, a lot of bees. All right, frame number 5, right in the middle of the top box. Some nice brood. We got a very new bee, if the camera focuses. She just hatched. We got some drones, and I'm willing to bet there's eggs in those cells if I look. Yeah, nice on this side too, capped. A whole bunch of brood that just hasn't been capped yet. Let's pull the next frame. But it is nice to see the colonies building up, especially, yeah, I would imagine they'd use the month of March to really build up. And hopefully the nectar flow is right on time in April. A lot of drone brood. Very interesting. And one of these colonies has a queen from last year with a very faint red dot. And I think it's this one. But yeah, she's doing her thing. And if you think drone brood concerning, it is a sign of a healthy hive, and especially this time of year, so queens can mate. But as long as you have worker brood in the right spot, don't be worried about it possibly being a laying worker situation. I've experienced that more times than I wish to last year, so feel free to thumb through the 2024 playlist if you want to see a lot of frustration when it comes to laying workers. All right, I'm gonna get in the bottom box. Same thing, assess the brood, and overall this one's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty nice strong colony. And then same thing with the drone brood. No signs of mites. Decided to repurpose number 2's sugar water with this one, since it doesn't look like they're storing a lot and they're using a lot to rear brood. So I'm just gonna put this one in number 2, the empty one from 7, and then get through the bottom box. Holy smokes. I mean, if that's not a brood frame, right? Yeah, I'd say they're doing okay. Same thing for the next one. All right. Last hive, down here at number 9. Holy smokes. I'll show you this here in a second. I'd say that's a decently strong hive. All right, frame number 3, no kidding. Brood, and I was gonna say and eggs, but I can't see with the sun to my back. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's doing a nice job. All right. That's the 3rd frame. And since I can always have a peek ahead, I can let you know the 4th frame is probably no different. Yeah, sure enough. I think she's laying on the first few frames with this box because they get a lot of evening sun, late afternoon evening sun, since this is due west. But yeah, look at that. It's a nice frame. Okay, same thing. Show you anything interesting. All right, just a quick first look at the bottom box of the last hive for the day. Yeah, this one's doing just fine. So we got brood on the 3rd frame. Brood on the 4th frame that faces the interior. What is this, the 2nd frame? Going backwards now, but yeah, brood and larvae and eggs. So yeah, they're doing just fine. All right, well, hey, here it is, 4:30. The sun is slowly dipping behind the trees, and let's see if I can do a little bit of a recap. So finished with number 9. They looked fine. 7, 3. In fact, the only thing really to talk about is number 12. They bit the dust at some point. I'm thinking it was that freeze we had when I got up, and it was 17 in the morning, 17 degrees. And then number 19, surprisingly, right? Number 19 was the only hive that was a candidate to reverse. Ton of brood in the top box, nothing going on in the bottom box. And in fact, I swapped number 19 and number 11 because 11, that's a pretty small colony, and they're limping along. The queen's, she started to lay, and there's some cat brood, but small patch in the top box, and not much. And then who knows what's up with these two, but number 1 and 2 did not want to take any of the sugar water over the last 2 weeks, which is kind of odd, especially when the rest of the colonies completely drained that 2-gallon feed. All right, that does it for me. That took a while. I was taking my time, and it's been a few months, right? So it's just a matter of reconditioning yourself to go through quite a few hives, right? By no means anywhere close to the larger operations, but this is what I got in my backyard, and that gives me the time to just go through them and take my time doing so. All right, stay tuned for the rest of the month. That was a pretty good start to March. 19 days until spring. Oh yeah, and then pulled this out of number 12, the Deadout. There's a little food left, so I figured I would just let them rob that out too. All right, you know what's coming. One last drive by of the hives, and then probably give it about a week. All right, here it is, March 5th, right at 11 o'clock. Temperature is 70 degrees, humidity is 83%, and it is windy. In fact, check out this screenshot video recording from the My Radar app. This is the unnamed storm front that's moving its way across the south. And the news last night said we can expect up to 75-mile-an-hour gusts. So I ran home from work real quick just to do this, just to secure the hives a little bit. And sad to say, this is the best I could do, meaning cinder blocks on every few hives with ratchet straps stretched between them. And the reason for that is because I have all my swarm traps hung, and I thought I had more ratchet straps than I do. Maybe I do, and I just can't find them right now. But yeah, the 6 traps that are hung, 2 of them being right here like I've showed y'all in previous videos, that's just enough to leave me short for securing the hives. And again, it's practically mid-March and nowhere close to hurricane season. Not that this is considered a hurricane because it's coming west to east versus off of the Atlantic. But yeah, it looks like a lot of the bees are out foraging, and some of them are probably trying to make their way back. So hey, if you're new to the channel, I've had my hives in this location for 7 or 8 seasons now. Multiple hurricanes, multiple no-name storms with high winds just like today. Obviously the pines are a little more mature than they have been, so hopefully that doesn't come into a factor, because you can see they're swaying, and hopefully they don't get uprooted and take out a few hives. But at this point, there's really not much I can do. Stay tuned, and maybe tomorrow or Friday I'll give you an update just to show you how the hives have fared, which hopefully, right, I don't have to say it, but hopefully they go unscathed. All right, here we go. Hey, it's Saturday, March 8th, right at 11 o'clock, 70 degrees and 43%. I'm gonna walk out to the yard, show you the hive entrances. I plan on getting into them here in about 2 hours, when today's high is going to be about 73 to 75 degrees. So we have 12 days until spring. Let me give you a quick rundown of the upcoming forecast. So again, March 8th, right? The 9th, tomorrow, high 53, low of 40. Monday, the 10th, low of 41. And then from there on out, mid 40s as lows, and then it rolls into mid 50s. But if the AccuWeather, I think, yeah, if the AccuWeather forecast is correct, starting on the 11th for the next few weeks, temperatures are going to be in the low 70s, and it should feel pretty darn nice. So I fed the bees about 3 weeks ago. I was looking back on a few things, and I'm gonna talk about why I'm mentioning that, right? So 3 weeks since they fed last, and in the earlier part of the video, when I was going through the hives I think about a week ago, y'all saw that I think it was the first 2 did not take any of the sugar water, and it was a little thinner than 1-to-1, like 1.3 to 1 or something. And well, let's just go take a look at those. Well, let's take a look at a few hives. Check out that activity, and we're about to walk around and look at the front, of course. All right, so why am I talking about feeding them and 3 weeks ago, and why some of the colonies, or recapping, some of the colonies did not take any of that food over the course of a week? Well, that's why right there. If you can't see that, number one, I am not sure what's going on with them. Judging by hive entrance activity, if you look down the line, I mean, things are busting loose. These colonies are expanding real quick. A lot of that brood from a week or so ago should have hatched. A lot more capped I'm anticipating, but this is a concern. So if number 1's still queen right and they have a small cluster of bees, and number 11, I mean, I know they were pretty small this whole season, and surprisingly they made it this far. But yeah, my focus today is going to be on 1 and 11, really getting into them. And if they're still queen right, I'm going to pull some frames from some of these very strong colonies and try and get them moving in the right direction. Yeah, I mean, this is awesome, and we are still over 10 days away from spring, right? But with the temperatures that I mentioned over the next week, things should take off real soon. So obviously I'm going to get into the hives here later today once I change over. Quick assessment, again, try and focus on those 2 colonies that hopefully they're not a dead out, right? So if they're still alive, I'm going to do a few things to really kind of get them back where they could be or should be. And then if the hives, well, maybe not if, because last time I looked they did consume all the sugar water. I would hate for the hives, or any hive, to die this time of year when things are about to really start blooming and we get our nectar flow, which usually happens late March, early April. So considering I know the hives consumed all the feed I gave them 3 weeks ago, which is like really on the verge of starving out if they don't have adequate food stores. Once I go through the colonies today, I plan on whipping up another batch tomorrow and feeding them, but this time I'm going to make just a 1-to-1 sugar water ratio and feed all of them, and that's probably the last time for the season. All right, so I'm about to get started. It's 12:10 now. I think the temp's probably in the mid 70s, like I said earlier. Honestly didn't look, but not much of a change. I just wanted to give y'all a close look at number 1, and then if we come down here to number 11, these are the 2 I'm concerned with. But like usual, once it gets to about this time of day and the sun starts hitting the entrances, they start to come a little more to life, right? But I'm still gonna get into them just like the rest of them and really assess what's going on. And I'm assuming I'm probably gonna have to move a few frames over to get them strong, but quick look down the line and hard to believe it's still not officially spring yet. All right, I promise, in an effort to make this video not as long as February's, I'm just gonna show y'all quick clips of each colony, and just starting with number 1. I'm really surprised to see bees in between the outer cover and inner cover, so I'm gonna get into them and I'll show you anything worthwhile. All right, as promised, something interesting. So hopefully this comes up because the flashlight's not really all that great, but yeah, you can see that, hopefully. A ton of larvae, right, that just hasn't been capped yet, and I really don't know if this is going to come up because the GoPro doesn't really have the best short distance focus, but I can actually see a decent amount of varroa mites on the larva. It's either varroa mites or maybe just debris. So I've been treating them monthly around mid-month, but they're coming due for another treatment. Hopefully that takes care of it. I knew they were queen right, but it's always nice seeing her. Hopefully she comes up there on the bottom of the frame. And they actually have some nice brood. So I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on with them. And it's something I like to do just so I know where the queen's at. I'm gonna cage her because I plan on taking off the deep box here and cleaning off the bottom board. I did this, I think, in February, maybe mid-February at some point. It's just my way of doing some spring cleaning. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they have nice brood. So I've had hives before that were late bloomers, and they took off and ended up becoming one of my best honey producers. So hopefully that's the case with this one, but I'm still going to move a few frames over of capped brood from some of the stronger hives to really just kind of give them a boost. All right, one last clip from number 1. This is why I was worried about them, because the bees that are still alive are dragging out a lot of their dead. And yeah, no kidding, there was some kind of die off. And honestly, look, check that out. There's some larvae. So maybe they were uncapping larvae to find food. All right, so that's the first sign of many that I might need to feed the hives one more time before the nectar flow starts. Let's get her released. And number one's queen right. Actually, kind of on the rebound. So we'll see here in about 2 weeks. Just a quick first look at number two. I already smoked them down, but a ton of bees in between the covers. And that, that is what I want to see. This may or may not come up. So I'm on frame number 4. And if y'all can see that, there's some wet cells. So a little early to judge, but something seems to be blooming. And they're getting nectar from somewhere. They've been bringing in pollen for quite a while, but to see wet cells, that's pretty interesting for this time of year. I should have just let the camera keep rolling. Very next frame, frame number 5 in the top box. Beautiful brood. And in fact, I'll just let it roll again for a few seconds. But it looks like the next frame, yeah. Check that out. All right, same thing like last time. I'm gonna get into the bottom box and determine if they need to be reversed. Like if she's laying heavily in the top box, which she is so far. I'll show you that, of course, but need to finish in the top box here first. All right, one last interesting thing. Hopefully the bees keep doing it. There's a few bees right here in this section doing the waggle dance. Yep, there you go. So, no kidding. They're telling the rest of the colony, right here. They're telling the rest of the colony where the food source is at. There's the queen right there. Same thing as the last colony. This cager for safekeeping. And that just allows me to move around a little more freely without having to worry about squishing her. And to be expected, bottom box, decent amount of bees. I mean, these are the bees between the boxes. Of course, I need to get into the bottom box. I'll show you that here in a second. Hopefully they have a lot of brood and I don't have to do anything, but worst case scenario, reverse the boxes for the rest of the month and then put them back to where the deep's on the bottom, medium's on the top, around late March, early April. All right, since I have a 2-gallon feeder, the bottom box is ran as an 8 frame. So point being, that was frame number 4, and these frames are real light and essentially empty, no brood or anything. So I'm gonna head and I've seen enough to where I can make the decision comfortably to reverse the boxes, and that will be it for number 2. Just a quick look at releasing the queen. I just found that pretty cool to share with folks. And there she goes right there. All right, down here at 11. That is interesting to see. They actually have some bees up in the top box where all the food's at. They're probably a very small cluster. I'm tossing this sugar now because they had a lot of food. They actually had 5 shallow frames of capped honey. Small cluster below, that was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. So this is probably the best candidate so far to move some frames over to really give them a boost. Yeah, frame number 4 in the top box here. I mean, she's laying too. Like, she's laying some brood. And they have a little food, but not much. So I think I'm just gonna leave her caged and make a plan as I move through the rest of the colonies to move over. I mean, I'm not really asking for much. 3 frames of brood. So actually, I've done this before. It's just been a while, and I kind of forgot how to go about it. So if I know I'm going to get back into a hive for whatever reason, I'll leave the queen caged just like that. And actually, I think what do I do? Obviously, I have not done this in quite some time. But yeah, leave some space between these two frames. Put the inner cover on. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And then just drop her down in there, close everything back up, and come back to this one as I finish up today. Right, down here at the very next one, which is number 9. This is the one that I reversed last time, which was 2-3 weeks ago. So I still need to pull some frames. Obviously I just opened them up, and then hopefully I have something to show you, and that's something being the queen's moved up into the top box, but to be determined right now. Well, that didn't take long at all. This is frame number 3, and we have eggs, we have some larvae, we have some nectar or sugar water. So yeah, no kidding, she's moved up into the top box. This side's a little nicer than the other side, so that was the goal by reversing the boxes. All right, I'm just finishing up in the bottom box. A lot of nice brood, so they're looking pretty good. I didn't see the queen, but there's enough signs they're still queen right. So I'm just gonna leave them as is for the rest of the month, and then probably reverse them towards the end of the month or early April. Just a quick look at number 14's top box. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 frames of bees. All right, frame number 4 in the top box. I know it won't come up, but all those open cells have eggs. You can see the cat brood, so she's doing pretty good. I might just take a peek down in the bottom box to see if they have brood down there, and if they don't, probably end up reversing them. Let's look at this last one here, number 7. Yeah, she's been in the top box for a while, which is what I want, but now it's time to try to get them to build out the bottom box. All right, surprisingly, if I can find a frame or two, yeah, surprisingly, she's expanded in both boxes. So I don't want to reverse them, because the brood that's on the top of this frame would essentially be at the very top of the top box, and then the brood in the top box would be at the bottom of, well, the bottom box, and then you would create this gap, and I don't want to break up the cluster, the brood, so I'm just going to leave them as is. Check on them here in about 2 weeks or so and see what they look like then. All right, here down here at 17, pretty much gone through 2/3 of the top box. No brood. They're storing some food or something liquid. So I'm gonna get into the bottom box and see if I can determine their queen rate and how the brood's looking. All right, this is an odd one. So I'm going back through the bottom box, and there's no brood. I don't see any eggs. I mean, they have all the signs that they were queenless, which, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. All right, so I'm gonna mark the top cover with a brick, and my goal for this one before I wrap up today is to move 2 frames, 2 maybe 3 frames from the remaining colonies down into this one, just to get them right. Yeah, this is odd, very odd this time of year to be queenless, when I'm pretty confident they were queen rate not that long ago. All right, moving right along down here at 13. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the time for dry sugar up top is coming to an end. Let me clean this off and I'll get to it. Actually, I have a decent amount of food in the top box. Hopefully you can see her right there. Nicely marked. And they're building up. She started to she started to expand on quite a few frames. Not capped yet. Well, I'm only 2 frames into it. Let's see what this next one looks like real quick. Okay. Yeah, so there's more capped brood in the center, which is pretty standard. Same thing with the next one. So yeah, they're moving in the right direction. Same thing with this. Okay. Not really much more to talk about with this one. All right, 3rd frame in number 5's top box. Some capped brood, larvae, and some eggs. So no doubt she's been up here. They seem to be moving in the right direction. Let's take a look at maybe one more frame. It's got some nice food, and man, even being in the direct sunlight, it's just hard to tell sometimes. I don't think there's any eggs there. It's hard to see. Yeah, it's more of a food frame than anything. But if you wait a second, I'll show you this next one, because I can kind of take a peek ahead, and there we go. Smoking myself out here. Let's take a look at some of the drones, see what stage they're in. The old purple eye, almost. It's a good sign that the season's close. I'm gonna start grafting this year, and I'm really hoping a nice colony, some nice genetics kind of identifies themselves in April and May. Speaking of, the season's almost here. Hopefully y'all can see all those drones on that frame. Alright, this one's looking pretty good. I'm just going to take a peek in the bottom box, see if she started to expand the brood down below, and then wrap it up and move on to the next one. Check her out. Unmarked queen. I have no idea when that happened. Oh, no kidding. Holy smokes. Oh, wait. I have a marked queen and an unmarked queen in here. I'm gonna need to fix this real quick. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about almost causing major problems. So I think this one's marked, right? In this hand, I'm trying to look. Yeah, this one's marked. I think I forgot to release, I don't know, maybe I did release the queen. I'm gonna have to look back at the video before I continue. But yeah, no kidding. They have an unmarked queen and a marked queen. I pulled them off, I think I pulled them off the same frame. I'm gonna look back at the video real quick before I continue. All right, the only logical thing I can come up with is, for one reason or the other, I just did not release number 13? 13's queen. Man, back into the colony. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the butt. I feel like I did this, but the hives start to really blend together. And of course I didn't record it like I usually do. Let's see, I don't know. Yeah, well. Yeah. Curious to see if they are welcoming her or trying to ball her up and kill her. I might scoot her back in the cage if she doesn't crawl in there herself. Alright, well shoot, there she goes. Let's see what happens here in a second. All right, plan B, and I'll explain. So this little girl here, you'll rarely ever see me do that, but I decided to call an audible, meaning I'm gonna move this marked queen down into this colony, which is number 17, because I'm pretty sure they are queenless. And the reason I'm doing that is because I went to put her back in the previous hive, and I think that was number 5 or this one of the two. That bee immediately, I wish I got it on film, but immediately started to sting this queen, and it looked like she was about to kill her. So in an effort to save her, I'm going to cage her and reduce her into this colony, and then in a week or two check on them. I haven't done this often at all, but she's moving slow enough. I'm going to try to get her into the JZ BZ cage. She's moving pretty slow, so hopefully that's not anything to be concerned about. All right, I've only done this maybe one other time, and obviously you can see messing with marshmallows in this temperature is pretty nasty. But yeah, I'm gonna introduce her to this colony. I'll show you all that, and then I'll show you the follow-up here in a week or so. All right, it's not rocket science, so just gonna introduce this queen right here, and then, like I said a few times, check on her. There we go. All right, just got her marked. I'm gonna give her a few minutes to dry off. Wow, that was a pretty interesting time in number 5. Can't wait to look back on the video and try and determine if they had 2 queens or if that queen was still in the queen cage from the previous hive. I'm not really sure, but since I don't know, and I know I have a colony that is probably queenless, I'm just gonna move her around. But yeah, this hive's looking pretty strong, just like the rest. I'm gonna get in the bottom box real quick, see how the brood's looking, and then wrap it up. Yeah, nice brood. And in fact, let me look at this one real quick, considering I have a few hives that need a boost. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of eggs there too. So considering I know where the queen is, I'm actually gonna move this frame with bees down into the nuke, and then number 1 needs 2. So I might take 2 from this one, move down into the nuke, and then I have 4 more colonies that are pretty strong, move them down into number 1 here eventually. Thank you, number 5, for the 2 frames to get the nuke a little more healthy. And let me share this with y'all of releasing this queen, just in case I need to look back on anything, because that didn't exactly help. What is going on here? Hopefully, man, I don't know. They look like they do not like her. But she came from the hive, so not really sure what's going on here with these bees. That's weird. There's some weird behavior. When she came out of here, I know that. I know I pulled the... Look at that. If you can see it. It's almost like they're not accepting her. Alright, well, that's just something to follow up on at this point. Quick first look at number 15's top box. Hopefully this goes a little smoother than the previous one. That, I don't know. That was a little bit of a circus. But yeah, let's get into this one. Hopefully the brood's looking pretty nice. Maybe get into the bottom box. TBD at this point. But frame number 5. A lot of eggs. Very new eggs too. Next frame, right? Nice capped brood. You can see some eggs from here. So she is doing her thing in the top box. Alright. Man, they're quick. There she is. Right there. Another unmarked queen. She's very dark too. That's interesting. Let's cage her. Go through the rest of the colony, see how they're looking. And then get her marked and just get everything put back together. Yeah, no doubt this is a strong colony. Hopefully they have a few frames of brood, maybe 2 or 3, so I can move them down to hive number 1. And then the remaining 3, I don't really have to rob Peter to pay Paul. I figured I'd show you this real quick. So I'm gonna move the first 3 frames. Not much going on there. A lot of wet cells, so that'll give number 1 a little bit of food boost. This frame, a ton of eggs that just haven't been capped. And since I know where the queen's at, same on this side, I'm just gonna move the entire frame so to take some of the nurse bees down there too. And then this frame, a lot of capped brood. So let me get number 1 opened up, move these 3 down there, move 3 from number 1 down here. I'm just gonna shake all the bees into number 1 as a quick means to ensure the queen's not on one of those frames. And then that's it for moving frames around. All right, just got her marked, so give that a minute or 2 and we'll get her back into number 15. All right, hopefully this colony accepts their queen bag better than the previous. That was nope, didn't really see that, but she's back in there. All right, down here at number 3, nothing really comes to mind. I do remember finding 2 unmarked queens from probably mid-February if I had to guess. And I definitely found them today. They are marked. One is back in their proper home, which was the most recent hive. The other one, I'm not too sure. I may have put a queen back in what was not her original home, but just have to see. Just have to see in about 2 weeks if they're still queen right, or if I find a balled up queen on the bottom board or outside the colony. That's happened before, and it's easy to tell, especially when you mark them. So I'm just going to go through this one. I don't need to move any more frames around with the colonies I've been through. However, between this one and the next 2, there's still a chance one might need a boost, but from what I remember, these hives on this part of the yard have been pretty strong throughout the fall, the winter, and now in early 2025. Yeah, she's up in this top box. Ton of larvae on that side. Some drone brood. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe it was the previous hive in this one that had unmarked queens, because there's another one. I don't know what is going on. All right, I'm just gonna get into the bottom box, see if she's been building up the brood down there, get her marked, released, and then move on to the next one. Quick first look. I'd say they're doing okay. It's because I have a shallow frame in that position, but yeah, I don't see any varroa, so that's good. This is frame 5 out of 8, so nice brood frame in the bottom box. Let's take a look at the next one real quick. I was thinking about reversing them, but after seeing this, yeah, I'm just gonna leave them as is. Same thing with the second to last frame. Nice brood frame. So she's doing a nice job. Look at all the larvae. If you can see the little white pearls inside the cells. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna get her marked, get everything put back together, and 2 more to go. All right, easy day. So she's marked. Again, just give her about a minute to dry, get her released, and that's it. All right, let's see. For some reason, they just like hanging out in the marking tool. They take their time to get out. Yeah, actually, she's moving a little quicker than most. Where's she at? Crawling all over the tool. And a little bit of a Houdini, but I believe she is down in there. Quick first look at number 7. Decent amount of bees in the top box here. All right, 2 more to go. All right, frame number 5 in the top box. We got a ton of drones walking around in this one, but yeah, a lot of nice brood, some drone brood on both sides. Let's see what the next frame looks like. Yeah, about the same between brood and food. They've been busy. This has been a pretty strong hive last year, and it looks like that's not gonna change this year either. What do y'all think? You think this is a strong colony? All right, there's frame number 3. That's the side that faces the outside. That's the side that faces the inside. Let's look at the next one. This will be the frame right in the middle, since the bottom boxes are 8 frames. Not as much capped brood, a ton of larvae. That should be capped in the next few days. One more, and there's no reason to look any further. Yeah, check that out. Man, this one is going to blow up. This might be a contender for one of the 9-frame deeps I'm going to run as honey supers for the first month or 2 of the season. That's the other thing, I may not have said it earlier. I'm really looking for the best candidates to put honey supers on first, and the deep supers, because I'm trying to maximize my honey harvest this year. All right, last one of the day. Holy smokes. I'm starting to think the hives that get a little more sunlight, I was going to say that are in direct sunlight, but the hives that just get a little more sunlight, they seem to be a little stronger, which really furthers my plans for this summer to open up this part of the yard, clear out some brush, and just really be able to give the hives just a little more sunlight. Here, let's pull a few. It's the second frame. Got some nice food on that one. Then you can see the brood down in the next one. This is pretty hard to do with one hand. Yeah, check that out. It's looking nice. All right, I'm just gonna go through the top box like the rest of them. Maybe get into the bottom. I'm completely dumbfounded. There is another unmarked queen, so I'm not really sure what happened late in the season to now, but she is doing great. Let me pull the last 2 frames up and show you those. So these are about the middle frames of the bottom box. I mean, she is doing fantastic. Ton of larvae, ton of eggs, mixture of capped brood, all the things you really want to see this time of year. But let me get her marked, and that's it for this one. All right, she's marked, so that's that for, which one is this? Number 9. I know I had all marked queens at one point, so it if I sound a bit shocked to find unmarked queens this time of year, that's why. But yeah, no kidding. I ended up marking what, three queens, and it doesn't look like any of them swarm, so maybe they were late season swarms and they've rebuilt in the meantime. I mean, great brood pattern, so nothing to complain about, but again, I know I had marked queens at one point last year. All right, let's get her released. And that'll be it for today. Come on. I think I should start using the plunger to push them out. Alright, there you go. Not sure why. Let's see if I can, okay, there she goes. Alright, wrapping things up. It's right at 2:30. And since I finished down there, I guess that's smarter to start my recap where I started. Alright, number 1, y'all saw I moved some frames down here from one of the stronger colonies. Already looks like they have more bees at the entrance because I moved the entire frame down there since that queen was caged. Number 2 continues to do just fine. and I did that last time, so there you go. 11, same thing. I moved 2 or 3 frames from another stronger colony down here. Again, since I had that queen caged, I could comfortably bring the bees down on the frame and give them a boost between nurse bees and some larvae and capped brood. 19, nothing comes to mind. They're fine. I reversed them last time, left them reversed. 14, number 17. I think this is the one that I introduced the JZBZ queen cage, because between 13 and number 5, well, actually, yeah, between 13 and number 5, I don't know what happened. There's a good chance that I forgot to release the marked queen from 13 back into 13, and she was still in the queen cage when I went to grab cage number 5's unmarked queen. That threw me through a loop, but at the same time, hopefully it comes up on video. I'll have to watch that again. At the same time, I'm pretty sure that marked queen was already on the frame with the unmarked queen in number 5. But regardless, there's a marked queen down in 13, or I'm sorry, 17 now in the JZBZ, if I have this right. 13, I believe, is queen, possibly queenless, but they have enough brood and all to make another queen. And then moving along, yeah, the rest of them look pretty good. 15 has a brick, but although that was only 4 hives ago, I can't remember why. This is why I record my videos. I decided from day 1 to start to record my inspections, not just to share on social media to let everybody know kind of what I'm up to, but honestly to give myself a kind of like a digital logbook to look back on via like the YouTube videos, right? So if I ever have questions about a hive or how that inspection went, or just anything really, kind of like today, I'm gonna watch a few clips and try to determine what exactly happened between, again, 15, 5, and 13, and then 17, I believe, is the one that has the JZBZ. But still, I can't remember right now, which is just fine. Again, that's why I record my inspections, just so y'all can see kind of how I keep my bees, but also for me to have something to look back on in case I have questions, which today I'm gonna have a lot of questions. All right, everybody, that's it for mid-March. Well, not even. It's early March. It's only it's the first week of March. 12 more days until spring, but the hives are looking good. So stay tuned.